After the Shen family's case was overturned, the old madam met with me alone. I specially made some pastries to bring over. Unexpectedly, the moment the old madam spoke, I was stunned. Liangzhou, is there a man you fancy? You are not young anymore. It is time you got married. But I was already engaged, and my fiancé was the young master of the Shen family. 2 years ago, the Shen family fell into misfortune and couldn't take a single coin with them. Fortunately, my family stepped in to help, so they didn't end up sleeping on the streets. The Shen family's young master, Shen Liangzhou, was placed to work at my family's shop, and over time, we fell in love. The old madam thought I had a good temperament and a head for business, so she asked my parents for their opinion and arranged the marriage between me and Shen Liangzhou. If nothing unexpected happened, Shen Liangzhou and I would be married by the end of the year. But I am not a fool. The old madam's words just now made her intentions quite clear. But she didn't want to be seen as untrustworthy, so instead of being direct, she hinted for me to choose someone else on my own. This way, our Yuan family would become the party breaking off the engagement. But why should our family take the blame for this? I am not one for beating around the bush. So I asked directly, is the Shen family trying to break off the engagement? The old madam's expression shifted slightly. How could our Shen family break off the engagement? It is just that someone saw you meeting privately with a man yesterday, so we assumed you had someone else. Since that is the case, our Shen family wouldn't want to separate you two lovebirds. If you want to call off the engagement, we'll naturally agree. I looked at the old madam before me, and the more I looked, the more of a stranger she seemed. When she lived at the Shen family's side residence, she was kind and loving, and treated me very well. The day I got engaged to Shen Liangzhou, she held my hand and shed tears of excitement. Dear Liangzhou, you truly are the best girl under the heavens. For our Liangzhou to have you is a blessing he earned from his past life. If Liangzhou ever dares to bully you, just come tell me, and I'll break his legs to vent your anger. Those words still rang in my ears, yet the person before me now wore such a lofty expression, even looking at me with disgust. Not only that, to ruin the engagement, she actually slandered my virtue. How could I tolerate this? She turned on me without a second thought. So why should I show her any respect? The Shen family owes my family a debt of gratitude. Not wanting to be seen as ingrates who burn bridges after crossing, they ruined my reputation to make me withdraw from the engagement myself. I just wonder, who exactly saw me meeting privately with a man? And when and where did this private meeting take place? The old madam said, I only heard about it. So there is no proof then, I said with a faint smile, though the ice in my heart had already turned into a ball of fire. Although there is no solid evidence, such rumors don't just come from nowhere. After hearing this, I thought for a moment and said, what a coincidence. Yesterday someone also said they saw the old madam meeting privately with a man, to make him Liangzhou's step-grandfather. The moment I finished speaking, the old madam slapped the table in fury. You wretch, how dare you slander an elder's virtue? How am I slandering? Such rumors don't just come from nowhere. The old madam's face flushed red with anger. You? I looked at her mockingly, slandering my innocence to make me voluntarily break off the engagement. I can't believe you came up with such a filthy trick. I've always heard people talk about old foxes, but I'd never seen one before. Today I finally have. No wait, old fox refers to clever people. Your tactics are so stupid, you don't deserve those 3 words. The old madam's hands were trembling. She used to see me as well behaved because I was a good girl. Now she is this furious because I am a good girl who won't take any abuse. In short, a good girl like me won't tolerate anyone bullying her. As I turned to leave, the old madam berated me. You are just a little girl hurting people with harsh words, disrespecting your elders. You truly have no upbringing. I didn't look back, a cold smile tugging at my lips. Old madam, you deserve my disrespect. Because ruining a woman's innocence is enough to cost her her life. As I was nearing the main gate, I ran into Shen Liangzhou returning from outside. What did grandmother say to you? Is she trying to break off the engagement with the Yuan family? If that is really the case, don't take it to heart. I won't break off the engagement with you. Grandmother's wishes aren't my wishes. Don't take anything she says seriously. You know my sincere feelings for you. The Shen family's rise won't change my feelings for you. I'll still marry you. Originally, hearing him say these words, I felt somewhat comforted. But when I angrily told him about the old madam framing my innocence and trying to make me voluntarily break off the engagement, he said, Grandmother is also doing this for the Shen family's sake. She doesn't want the Shen family to bear a bad reputation for being ungrateful and burning bridges. You are a kind girl. You should be able to understand her good intentions. I kicked at him. That is my virtue at stake. Doesn't my reputation matter? Why should our Yuan family bear the bad name just because your family doesn't want it? So in your eyes, the Yuan family and I can be sacrificed at any time. Shen Liangzhou, you've really disappointed me. Shen Liangzhou explained, the Yuan family is just a merchant family. What harm is there in bearing this bad name? But the Shen family is different. The Shen family are officials, and we've just regained our standing. I am about to enter the Hanlin Academy. I absolutely cannot let this bad name tarnish my reputation. Already this shameless and still has the nerve to talk about reputation. I didn't want to stay at the Shen residence for another moment and hurried off. Shen Liangzhou called after me, telling me not to throw a tantrum, and said I was being improper. I picked up a small stone at the gate and threw it at Shen Liangzhou inside. Screw your tantrum, screw your propriety. Just looking at your face brings bad luck. I hit Shen Liangzhou on the forehead, breaking the skin. You are a girl. How can you speak such vulgar words? It is truly disgraceful. Good thing it is me. If it were someone else, how could they tolerate such insolence? Pa, I am no refined lady, but you are truly scum. The servants at the entrance couldn't help but stifle their laughter, so I glared at each of them one by one. Never mind them. I'd even give a piece of my mind to any dog that walked by. After leaving here, I inspected a few more shops. When I ran into Shen Liangzhou again, I was on my way to the next shop. His forehead had already been treated with medicine, and a delicate-looking girl was leaning on his shoulder. I walked closer. Seeing me, Shen Liangzhou asked somewhat guiltily, Why haven't you gone back to the Yuan residence? I scanned them up and down and replied, catching cheaters. As I expected, that woman was Feng Jialing, daughter of the late former Grand Tutor. She was originally Shen Liangzhou's childhood sweetheart, and also his white moonlight. When the Shen family fell into disaster, she immediately cut ties with Shen Liangzhou and warned him never to look for her again. After I took in the Shen family, I saw Shen Liangzhou heartbroken over her plenty of times. For that I always went to comfort him, telling him not to hang himself on one tree. Only then did he slowly move on and forget this heartbreaking relationship. Now great, the tree he wanted to hang himself on came back because the Shen family's case was overturned. The forgotten feelings also quickly rekindled from the ashes. Perhaps he never forgot at all, just helplessly chose not to bring it up anymore. So basically, I was just his settle for choice when he had no better options. Huh. Just thinking about it made me want to slap him twice. So I slapped him 4 times. Slapped him senseless right then and there. Feng Jialing was stunned too. While they were all stunned, I quickly turned and left. When I got home, my parents saw that I looked unwell. After learning the reason, they wanted to go to the Shen family for an explanation. It is all our fault. We've been doing business for most of our lives, yet we still misjudge them and let you suffer. When the Shen family fell on hard times, everyone avoided them like the plague. Only we took them in for old times' sake, yet we never expected they would actually. Sigh. Old Master Shen was a good official. If he hadn't fallen ill and died in prison during the disaster, he would never have let them bully people like this. Good child. Don't be sad. It is not worth it. I nodded. I wasn't the one in the wrong, so why would I be sad after being slapped? Shen Liangzhou took Feng Jialing to a restaurant. That slap just now made it obvious that Yuan Luozhu couldn't stand seeing him with Feng Jialing. He felt troubled, thinking Yuan Luozhu didn't understand him at all. It was perfectly normal for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Not to mention Feng Jialing had once been his beloved. some unknown he once lost, now able to hold in his arms. What man could refuse? It wasn't like he didn't love Yuan Lusso anymore, so why couldn't she be more sensible? Feng Jialing had someone bring a medicine box and carefully wiped Shen Liangzhou's red, swollen face. I heard Miss Yuan knows martial arts. The strength in her hands is truly extraordinary. I am afraid it'll take a few days for the swelling to go down. Liangzhou, maybe we should part ways. I don't want to cause a rift between you and Miss Yuan because of me. Looking at the delicate Feng Jialing before him, most of Shen Liangzhou's earlier gloom had dissipated. The former grand tutor had already been dismissed before his death, and after he passed away, he left behind Feng Jialing, a lone orphan girl living a difficult life, perhaps having suffered some hardships. She who was once somewhat domineering had become gentle and obedient. This point was something he quite liked. He took Feng Jialing's hand, and Feng Jialing naturally sat on his lap, calling out softly, "Liangzhou." This voice directly melted Shen Liangzhou's heart, and he couldn't help but kiss Feng Jialing's lips. He closed his eyes, imagining the person before him was Yuan Luozhou. He truly loved Yuan Luozhou, and he would only love Yuan Luozhou in this lifetime. He had made very clear to Feng Jialing, even warning her that if she ever hurt Yuan Luozhou in the future, he would definitely not let her off. It was just one more woman. Why did it make Yuan Luozhou so angry that she hit him? After pulling away from Feng Jialing's lips, Shen Liangzhou sighed softly. "Jialing, you go back first." Feng Jialing naturally didn't want to leave, but for now she had to be obedient. "All right, then drink less. Drinking too much hurts your body, and I'll feel heartache." Watching Feng Jialing's retreating figure, Shen Liangzhou let out another sigh. If only Luozhou could be as sensible and considerate as Feng Jialing. Judging from today's situation, Yuan Luozhou would have a hard time accepting Feng Jialing. This was a tricky matter. Because although he loved Yuan Luozhou, he also didn't want to wrong Feng Jialing, so he planned to marry both of them on the wedding day. Time was pressing now. He had to hurry and convince Yuan Luozhou to agree. It rained heavily for 2 days straight. After the rain stopped, Shen Liangzhou asked to meet me. When I arrived at the private room, Feng Jialing was also there. Shen Liangzhou told me he wouldn't hold it against me for hitting him last time. He also said that since the grand tutor passed away, Feng Jialing had been living a very hard life, and he wanted to marry her. "What about me?" I asked deliberately. "I'll marry both of you. You'll be the principal wife, she'll be the equal wife. Besides, Jialing has already agreed, we're just waiting for you to nod." "Wait, who does he think he is? Does he think he is the best man in the whole world?" Equal wives aren't unheard of in the capital. But there are only 2 families, and both were cases where concubines were elevated to equal wives for rendering great service. Ani nearly died saving the mistress. The other joined hands with the mistress to turn the tide when the household was in trouble. Both were deserving of it. And this Feng Jialing is just being brought in directly as an equal wife. Isn't he afraid of being laughed at by others? I really didn't want to waste any more words on Shen Liangzhou, so I raised my hand and clapped twice. The door of the private room was suddenly pushed open. A group of people filed in one after another, pointing and whispering at Shen Liangzhou. "Back then when your Shen family was in trouble, it was the Yan family who came to help. Now you've barely turned things around and you are already bullying the Yuan family's daughter. How despicable." "Exactly. You are not even married to the Yuan family's daughter yet, and you are already getting entangled with another woman." How shameless! Shen Liangzhou was at a loss. I spoke up. "Shen Liangzhou, since you've betrayed me, our engagement is hereby annulled. For the rest of your life, I wish you not a single moment of happiness." Shen Liangzhou looked at me in disbelief. "You set me up. How can this be called setting you up? This is exposing the truth. That day when I was inspecting the shops, I was thinking, how could I make the Shen family bear the reputation of burning bridges after crossing, while also smoothly breaking off the engagement? Then I ran into Shen Liangzhou and Feng Jialing on the bridge. Since I found out they had rekindled their old flame, things became much easier, so I sent people to keep tailing Shen Liangzhou, waiting for when he and Feng Zhiling had their secret rendezvous to invite everyone to watch a good show. Unexpectedly, today Shen Liangzhou delivered this show to me himself. If you don't court death, you won't die. Serves him right. Upon learning that I broke off the engagement in front of everyone, and made the Shen family lose all face, old Madame Shen fainted from anger on the spot. When old Madame Shen pressured me to voluntarily break off the engagement that day, she didn't know Shen Liangzhou was fooling around with Feng Zhiling. She wanted me to break off the engagement just so she could find a woman from an official's family for Shen Liangzhou to marry. Now, the engagement was called off because Shen Liangzhou was heartless, which ruined her plans completely. It is a wonder she didn't die from anger. After that, Shen Liangzhou came to see me several times, but I refused to meet him every time. He also had someone write letters to me. I read the first one. The letter said his feelings for Feng Zhiling were just lingering regrets from the past, and that I was his true love. These words truly disgusted me. I even hated myself for being so blind as to fall for such a person. I truly thought we would love each other for a lifetime. Fortunately, this relationship that I considered a stain has finally ended. Good fortune lifts the spirits. In the following days, I lived so comfortably that even my skin improved a lot. One day, coming out of the rouge shop, I accidentally tripped while going down the steps. A white Pekingese stood in the corner, its mouth open wide, as if laughing at me. I pointed my finger at it and scolded, "Laugh, laugh. What are you laughing at? Laugh again and I'll stew you." Who knew it actually understood what I said and came lunging at me. I ran as fast as my legs could carry me, just like someone fleeing for their life. Well, I was indeed fleeing for my life. The dog chased me relentlessly, barking as it ran. Passers-by on the street watched the commotion. Some laughed at me, some told me to run faster. But not a single one helped me fend off the dog. Life is so hard. This baby wants to cry. Just as the dog caught up to me, an inch away from biting my skirt hem, a deep voice rang out, "Tudo, come here." The pug turned around at the sound and ran towards the man dressed in a fitted blue robe. I looked closely, and it turned out to be my arch-nemesis Yajao. He spotted me, walked over holding the dog and said, "It is really smart, only chases people it knows." I bared my teeth at him. "I know you, but I don't know it. You are not much good, and the dog you raise isn't much good either." Yi Zhao mimicked my teeth-baring. "I must have owed you in my past life, letting you chase and curse at me in this one. Not just chasing and cursing, you almost turned me into a eunuch. I am really scared of you." I put my index finger to my lips. "Shh, just shut your mouth." What Yi Zhao said about almost becoming a eunuch was something from our childhood. Although my family were merchants, my mother and Yi Zhao's mother were bosom friends. So our two families had a very close relationship. Once during a private banquet at the manor, I took Yi Zhao to play in the back garden, and in a moment of carelessness, little Zhao got hit by my slingshot. Good heavens. This I couldn't compensate for. Yi Zhao covered it while crying, "Woo-woo. I want my mom to come hit you." I thought adults shouldn't get involved in children's matters. A sudden idea struck me, and I went to the kitchen to grab some dough. "Take off your pants. I'll mold one just like it to compensate you, that should work." "Right. Don't let Yi Zhao being only 6 fool you." When I said this, his face turned red like a monkey's butt. I wasn't even embarrassed. What was he embarrassed about? "Take it off. How can I mold it if you don't?" Yi Zhao obediently pulled his pants down, and I looked closely. Oh no, it is all red and swollen, probably really broken. I wonder if it'll hurt when he pees later. It'd be even worse if he can't pee. A person could die from holding it in. I molded one that looked exactly the same and handed it to Yi Zhao. "Here, this is to compensate you. Just please don't tell your parents. This one made of dough is fake. You need to pay me back with a real one." Yi Zhao pointed at me, "But where would I get a real one? You can't bully people like this. If I had one, I'd pay you back with it, but I really don't. Look at you, you already took off your pants. I already molded it. And now you are backing out." A man who doesn't keep his word, shame, shame, shame. Yi Zhao straightened his back. Humph, you are the one who should be ashamed. Fake is fake. Deceiving children will give you mouth sores. Pay me back with a real one. Hurry and pay me back with a real one. Please. I told you. I don't have a real one. The maidservant by Yi Zhao's side came running over in a panic, and sighed in relief when she saw Yi Zhao here. Young master, how did you slip away in the blink of an eye? You scared this servant to death. Yao Zhao cried while covering his crotch. It hurts. It hurts. My vision went dark again and again. He wasn't crying like this just now. Tonight am I definitely going to die? That is right. I am definitely going to beat you to death. Dad held the stick up high. I knelt on the ground, looked up with teary eyes. Dad was the white fungus porridge your daughter made for you this morning. Good. I was only 7 years old and not very tall. Standing on a stool, I burned 2 blisters on my hands before I managed to finish making the porridge. The maids beside me were scared into a cold sweat over this. I raised my burned right hand. Look, your daughter got hurt, and it really hurts. Father looked at the 2 blisters on my hand and threw the stick in his hand to the ground. How are the servants attending to their duties? She got 2 blisters from burns and no one even thought to report it. Father, it is not their fault. I saw that you and Mother were really busy hosting the banquet today, so I told them not to tell you. I've already applied medicine, it is no big deal. Father nodded, that is good. Good my foot he picked up the stick and smacked me on the back. Yi Zhao is the young master of the Annulling Marquis Manor, and he is to be formally titled as the heir. The Ye family has had only one son for 3 generations and values heirs above all else. Fortunately, there was no harm done this time. If you really caused the Ye family line to end, how could I ever explain to the Marquis of Annulling? I didn't really understand, it was just a hit from my slingshot. How would that end the family line? Oh right. What does end the family line mean? My father drew in a sharp breath and helplessly told Mother to take me back to my room and keep an eye on me. The next day, Father and Mother took me to the Annulling Marquis Manor. Yao was lying in bed and saw that I had come too. He took out the little birdie I had made from dough. It is all cracked and doesn't look nice anymore. Giving it back to you. Everyone in the room instantly fell silent. I got beaten by my dad again. All because I made a fake one to trick Yi Zhao. You are a girl. How could you make something like that, and even use it to trick the young master? You are really going to anger your old man to death. I protested. It is not like I made it randomly, I modeled it after Yi Zhao's little birdie, you've seen it yourself. It is practically identical. My dad was nearly driven mad by me, helplessly shaking his head, saying how did he end up raising me like this? Although this incident caused quite a stir, it quickly passed, only Yi Zhao held a grudge. So much so that later whenever I beat him up again, he would use this to guilt-trip me. You broke my little Xiao Zhao. You have to go easy on me. Of course I wouldn't go easy on him either. In most matters he was the one to back down. When we grew older he stopped saying I broke his little Xiao Zhao, and started saying I almost turned him into a eunuch. Just like right now, I've already grown into an adult, and learned something about matters between men and women. When he brings this up again, I just feel he is quite thick-skinned. What man would voluntarily bring up that his thing was once injured like him? Isn't he afraid of others saying he is useless now? Seeing that I told him to shut up, he actually listened. He took out a hairpin from his chest and handed it to me. Here to make up for yours, do you like it? I took the hairpin. It is quite exquisite, I'll consider it thoughtful of you. 3 months ago we fought at the training grounds. He broke my hairpin and said he would give me a better one. Because the next day he was ordered to go out and suppress bandits, and later encountered floods and was delayed in returning. I didn't keep the matter of the hairpin on my mind. I didn't expect that after so long, he still remembered despite being so busy with official duties. Come to think of it, I've lost count of how many things of mine he has broken over the years. Break it and pay for it, and break the new one. Then keep paying again. He is usually a pretty careful person, but when it comes to me he becomes all clumsy. It really leaves me speechless. The elders say we're sworn enemies. fighting since childhood, but we've never truly cut ties. On my way home fuming, I told Yi Zhao about what happened today. He didn't sympathize with me, and even laughed with schadenfreude. I pulled out a dagger and pressed it against his neck, asking, "What? You are happy that I was forced to break off the engagement?" "Not bad," he said, smiling even more annoyingly. "There is a matchmaker god temple in the outskirts. Yi Zhao had some free time and wanted me to go with him." I looked at him listlessly. "I just broke off an engagement. Is it appropriate to go to the matchmaker god temple?" "Appropriate, of course it is appropriate. This fate has ended, so pray for the next one." At the matchmaker god temple, I didn't pray for marriage fate, only that I could make a clean break from Shen Liangzhou. As for Yi Zhao, he devoutly closed his eyes, looking unusually serious. On the way back, we were in good spirits and went to Middle Street to drink lamb soup. I quite like this lamb soup place. I'd asked Shen Liangzhou to come with me several times. He refused outright, saying eating by the roadside was beneath his dignity. Perhaps we were never meant to be together. Yao Zhao and I had only taken a couple sips when we saw Shen Liangzhou leading Feng Zhaoling out of the porcelain shop ahead. Shen Liangzhou saw me, let go of Feng Zhaoling's hand, and walked over to my side. "Luozhu, I finally get to see you. You have no idea how much I've missed you these past days." Feng Zhaoling followed, tugging at Shen Liangzhou's sleeve to show her displeasure. Yao Zhao curled his lips with contempt, looking at them as if watching two monkeys. This made anger rise on Shen Liangzhou's face. "Yao Zhao, what do you mean by that?" The two of them had no real friendship. Even when they met before, they would ignore each other. Yao Zhao still shielded me, glanced at Feng Zhaoling, then replied to Shen Liangzhou. "Nothing much, just feel it is inappropriate for you to talk to Luozhu like this when Miss Feng is already carrying your child." A child, I looked toward Feng Zhaoling. Though she wasn't showing yet, her hand rested on her belly, gently rubbing it definitely, a gesture only a pregnant woman would have. Shen Liangzhou shielded Feng Zhaoling behind him and said to me guiltily, "I am sorry. It was a moment of impulse that led to... Luozhu, don't worry. Once we're married, we'll have children soon too." How can someone spout such nonsense? I lost even the mood to drink mutton soup. "Shen Liangzhou, is there something wrong with your brain? The engagement has been called off. If you keep pestering me, watch out or I'll beat you up." After these words, Feng Zhaoling actually started crying. "Miss Yuan, please don't get angry. Liangzhou truly likes you. Please don't hurt him. If you are upset, just take it out on me. I have no one to rely on anyway, so it doesn't matter if you bully me." Seeing Feng Zhaoling protecting him like this, Shen Liangzhou felt so touched. "Zhaoling, how could you have no one to rely on? From now on, I'll be your support." I kindly reminded him. "Then why don't you hurry back and prepare to marry Miss Feng? It won't look good once her belly gets bigger," I said. "I am going to marry both of you, psycho." Shen Liangzhou was called a psycho by Yuan Luozhou, and couldn't sleep well for several days. At this rate, when would he ever get Yuan Luozhou to change her mind? More importantly, Feng Zhaoling's belly really couldn't wait. He originally wanted to secretly get rid of this child, but thinking about how the Shen family had few heirs, he hesitated. Feng Zhaoling naturally sensed Shen Liangzhou's thoughts, and sobbed while leaning on his shoulder. A woman who loses her chastity before marriage is already not tolerated by society, let alone one who is pregnant. "I really don't want to make things difficult for you. Tomorrow morning, I'll drink the abortion medicine. That way, you'll have plenty of time to win Miss Yuan back. It wouldn't be right to let me enter the residence first, just because of the child in my belly. I can be a concubine, but if a concubine enters the household first and even gives birth to a child, people will inevitably gossip. Liangzhou, I definitely don't want to make things difficult for you." By the time she finished speaking, her face was already covered in tears. Looking at the gentle and sensible Feng Zhaoling, Shen Liangzhou couldn't bear it. When a woman loses a pregnancy, the slightest mishap could cost her life. Feng Zhaoling was willing to take such a great risk for him. How could he not be moved? Jailing, don't worry. I'll protect both you and the child. In a few days, I'll bring you into my household. The original plan was to make Feng Jailing an equal wife, but since he couldn't marry Yuan Luozhu now, he naturally couldn't take an equal wife first. Thus, Feng Jailing became a concubine. Old Madame Shen found it disgraceful. But like Shen Liangzhou, she felt the Shen family lacked heirs, so she had no choice but to agree. After Feng Jailing entered the manor, Shen Liangzhou suddenly felt this arrangement was quite nice. This way, Yuan Luozhu would be his only wife. Since she'd be the only wife, what could Yuan Luozhu possibly complain about? A merchant's daughter surely couldn't be naive enough to expect him to have only her for his entire life. He thought, this time he'd definitely convince Yuan Luozhu. Early the next morning, he went to the Yuan residence, only to be turned away at the door again. The servants pointed to a pillar nearby. He looked over and saw a notice posted on it, Shen Liangzhou and dogs are not allowed entry. His hands clenched into fists. This Yuan Luozhu was really too outrageous. Just then, that kid Yi Zhao carried a dog and swaggered right into the Yuan residence. Why can that dog go in? Shen Liangzhou demanded of the gatekeeper. Before the gatekeeper could answer, Yao Zhao came back from inside the gate and explained to Shen Liangzhou. The notice mentioned a dog that was to keep you company. Luozhu really likes this dog of mine. Shen Liangzhou stared at the ugly Pekingese and clenched his fists. Luozhu is just temporarily mad at me. Once she calms down, we'll still get married. Yao Zhao came to my house holding his ugly dog, saying he likes me. I suddenly widened my eyes. Wait, are you sick in the head? Growing up, the two of us got into countless fights and arguments. It was good enough that we didn't curse each other. Only someone kicked in the head by a donkey would develop feelings of love. Yao Zhao grinned cheekily. I am sick, so I came to you for treatment. If you keep spouting nonsense, I'll have someone throw you out. I am not spouting nonsense. I felt terrible when you got engaged to Shen Liangzhou. But back then your eyes were full of him, so I could only hide my feelings for you in my heart. I thought about it, and it did seem a bit off because when I got engaged, Yao Zhao avoided me for quite a few days. Onsen, when he was drunk and saw me, he said he had something important to tell me. But just as I asked what he wanted to say, he seemed to sober up, smiled, and said there was nothing to say. Now that words of liking me came out of his mouth, why do I feel like I've been struck by lightning? He really must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. Going after someone close to you is a bit underhanded. Look at the two of us, in what way are we compatible? After I asked, he replied, compatible in every way. I kinda want to hack him to death. My rejection didn't make Yi Zhao back down. Whenever he had free time, he'd lounge around at my house. This made my parents overjoyed. Especially my mother. The way she looked at Yao Zhao was no longer like looking at her close friend's son, but like looking at a son-in-law. Needless to say, Yao Zhao's family was cheering him on every day. This really puzzled me. Although our families share a deep friendship, the gap in our social standings is huge. Before I could even finish speaking, Yao Zhao stuffed a piece of chestnut cake into my mouth. Prejudice about social status has existed since ancient times, and it is indeed human nature. But unfortunately, my family doesn't have that. Have you forgotten? My mother was also from an ordinary family. Did the Marquis manor decline? Number, did it affect my parents' loving relationship? Also no. So I like you, I want to marry you. Based solely on my heart. Everything else can step aside. I chewed on the chestnut cake while looking at Yao Zhao in disbelief. When this guy gets serious, he is kind of pretentious. I told him to give up while he still could, and also instructed the gatekeeper not to let him in. Then, he left Tudo with me, saying seeing the dog was like seeing him. But this dog, the crabapple flowers by the window wilted and bloomed again, in the blink of an eye. Ye Zhao had been climbing over my family's wall for a year. My room was piled with little trinkets he'd given me, and the storeroom had quite a few too. What a headache-inducing guy. You are so thick-skinned. I said seeing the dog is like seeing you, yet you still climb over people's walls every day. You are at least the heir of a marquis household. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by others? As I said, Yi Zhao really has thick skin. For the woman I love, what is face worth? At worst I'll just throw it away. Whoever wants to laugh can go ahead and laugh. If I marry you in the future, who knows how much those people will envy me behind my back. After all, you are the best girl in the world. I pointed at myself, then pointed at Yi Zhao. I am a full 3 years older than you. The age isn't suitable either. There are plenty of noble ladies in the capital, and quite a few are smitten with you. Why must it be me? A wife 3 years older means holding gold bricks. If I marry you, I am the one who profits. What do other girls being smitten with me have to do with me? I just like you. I helplessly pressed my forehead. What a stubborn guy who won't listen to reason. I waved my hand, gesturing for him to come in. Actually, I understood in my heart that he climbed over my wall every day not just to see me, but also because Shen Liangzhou was still pestering me. Yesterday he even beat up Shen Liangzhou, who was lingering around the corner, warning him to hurry home and hold his child. This one sentence of his directly made Shen Liangzhou cry from anger. Here, this is the gift I brought you today. Yi Zhao stuffed a pretty clay doll into my hands. The clay doll was chubby and very cute. I really liked it and went into the room to place it on the vanity. Hearing that I took the initiative to call Yi Zhao down. My parents were so excited, saying I was finally willing to let go of Shen Liangzhou. They came running over and grabbed Yao Zhao, opening their mouths right away with good son-in-law. No, who made him a son-in-law? Besides, Shen Liangzhou has long been nothing but a fart to me. Speaking of Shen Liangzhou, I just want to laugh. Yao told him to go home and hold his child. The reason he cried was because the child wasn't his at all. Back when Feng Zhiling was with him, she was still involved with someone else. Some days ago, the child's biological father came to Feng Zhiling for money but failed, and was caught red-handed by Shen Liangzhou instead. Not only was Shen Liangzhou cuckolded, but even the child was someone else's. He was so angry he coughed up blood on the spot. Feng Zhiling and the child were both kicked out. The old madam was even angered to death upon learning that the great-grandson she doted on belonged to another family. A perfectly good family, now left with only Shen Liangzhou, that annoying pest. He wrote me a letter saying that if I married him now, I would be the only mistress of the entire household, and no one could ever tear us apart. In other words, he never realized that he was the one in the wrong. So when I replied, I thoughtfully drew a big egg rolling down a slope on the paper. Soon he wrote back again, with his tear stains on the letter. Laju, you actually want me to scram, how cruel of you. I crumpled the letter into a ball and threw it on the ground. Tudo came over and quickly tore it to shreds. Shen Liangzhou didn't get another reply from me. He came to see me from time to time, but was still turned away at my door. Yesterday, not only did he fail to see me, but Yao Zhao also stabbed him in the heart. So if he doesn't cry, who will? Ye Zhao and I didn't set our wedding date until 2 years later. The day before the engagement, Shen Liangzhou knelt in front of my house for a long time. He said as long as Ye Zhao and I weren't married yet, he still had a chance. Truly incorrigible. Belated affection is cheaper than grass. I'll only move forward, never look back. When Ye Zhao learned what Shen Liangzhou had done, he came straight over and beat Shen Liangzhou miserably. I didn't stop him, after all. Ye Zhao wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Besides, he knew how to control his strength, it would just hurt a lot, that is all. Perhaps I was too obvious about it. Shen Liangzhou asked me with reddened eyes. Luozhou, do you really hate me this much? You actually watched me get beaten by Ye Zhao. Of course I didn't hate him. He wasn't even worthy of my hatred. Shen Liangzhou, you must be joking. To me, you are nothing but an irrelevant person. He beat you because you deserved it. Why should I stop him? Of course, if you want to come drink at my wedding with Yi Zhao, you are equally welcome. Shen Liangzhou was silent for a moment, then smiled bitterly. No need. Your wedding wine would surely taste bitter. When he left, his steps were staggering. I heard him laugh in utter despair, laughing while saying, I really have nothing left, nothing at all. All I can say is, if you knew it would come to this, why act that way back then? Everything was his own doing. This bitter fruit. He deserved it. Yajao held my hand, helped tidy the stray hair on my forehead, and smiled gently. That day when we went to the matchmaker god's temple together, what I prayed for before the matchmaker god was our marriage destiny. Being able to marry you in this life is a blessing I've cultivated over countless lifetimes. His words made my heart feel sweet and soft, and the corners of my mouth couldn't help but curl up. I thought maybe I should stand on tiptoe and give him a gentle kiss right now. It would definitely be romantic. But before I could act, he said something that made me want to beat him to death. The little xiao jiao you molded when you were young, I added it to the betrothal gifts list. What? How could he still have this thing? He wanted to return it to me that day, and I didn't take it. But I never expected this weirdo would keep it privately. Ah, I am going crazy. He was so young back then, how could he have thought to keep such a little trinket? I kept chasing and hitting Yi Zhao, and he actually started acting all aggrieved. I kept it as a clay toy, and accidentally just kept it until now. But you still can't add it to the betrothal gifts list. You are gonna be the death of me. How come no one told me there was this kind of thing in the betrothal gifts when they were delivered? They probably knew but were too embarrassed to tell me. I've completely lost all my face. Seeing that I seemed really angry, Yao quickly rubbed the top of my head. I was just teasing you, I've kept it safe and sound. Throw it away right now. I don't want you keeping it. I won't throw it away. If you don't throw it away, I won't marry you. Fine, 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 I'll throw it away. And the result? The result was on our wedding night. When I was removing my makeup, Yi Zhao mysteriously said he wanted to show me something, and then I saw little Xiao Zhao lying in a box, covered in cracks all over. I let out an ah and hit Yi Zhao, threw it away. Damn right I threw it away. Why the hell does this thing have to be kept? What a pervert. After I hit Yi Zhao, he turned around and pinned me onto the bed. Madam has already hit and scolded me. Now it is time for an inspection. I struggled and asked, inspect what? Naturally, to inspect whether little Zhao that you hit can still be used. Me, if I don't exhaust you to death, I lose. The second day, the third day, the fourth day, day after day. I really wish I had my period every day. Yi Zhao, you win. I admit defeat.